Hello, good evening. Thank you very much. We do have established a quorum, and we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we're going to skip down and have our Pledge of Allegiance first before we start our budget workshop. So it is my pleasure to introduce Maria Avila, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. Maria is a 2025 graduate of Valley View High School, a health science major at North Central Texas College, and a Red River Promise peer. As part of her Promise Peer responsibilities, Maria spent the school year at Valley View High School helping seniors turn college plans into action by guiding them through college admission and Red River Promise requirements. Through her dedication and leadership, Valley View achieved record results this year, including the first ever 100% submission of the Red River Promise Pledge, NCTC fall application, and FAFSA applications. Students and school staff consistently praise Maria for the difference she made, and these accomplishments are a direct reflection of her commitment to helping others succeed. At this time, I invite Maria Avila to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Hey. All right, we'll go back to item number 2, the budget workshop, and I'll turn it over to Chancellor Wallace.
Be a team effort between a lot of us. Ms. Ferguson's first budget workshop with us, and so we're not going to just totally throw her out there and say good luck, go for it. We're going to work in tandem together tonight and with others, of course, as well. You have before you and have had a few days to review the budget workshop itself, so the way we're going to present this is less about repeating ourselves and more about bringing it up through the notebook, what we saw for you, and seeing if you have questions or if you want conversations around data points, etc. So we're going to dive in. Introductory, you were given some things that you've asked for before, and I thought it was good to remind ourselves of the process in which we budget. So you got the goals associated in the development process, how we do that, and then we start right into college overview of the strategic context. I always think it's important for us to recognize that in the state of Texas, these are your designated taxing districts, and the challenge associated with that is those are the only counties in Texas that pay a tax to a community college. And that's not very many, and that's why when the state looks at the overall taxing authorities of community colleges, they know it doesn't make a big impact to limit you to a certain extent because you aren't even taxing the entire state like into an ISD or something like that. But by law, we're required to serve all those. And so there's still a great inequity between taxing district and required service areas across the state. And then there are some educational deserts. The white are not served legally by anyone. And so you have odd little niches of that. I used to work with that one when I was at Cisco College, and they would sort of work between Vernon and Cisco to try to figure out how they could help or what we could do, but they actually aren't in any statute to be served. And so those are kind of interesting. Just a quick review of that. You have a narrative on it. I just think it always helps us. At your place this evening, under the organizational unit conversation, you've been asking during the last few months about, well, what it comprises Chancellor's Cabinet, what comprises executive leadership roles, and even our executive vice presidents. What are those? How do you do that? So you have at your table this evening a pretty robust printed spreadsheet. That spreadsheet serves pretty much as an organizational chart as well. It's separate from your notebook. It's got a lot of pages to it. And basically it shows you what a department is, how it is organized. Yes, ma'am. How it's organized. You've asked for some data on salaries by position. That's on there. You get to see a sense of how the bands work with that. If you have a light green, that's it's a bigger document than you have all of. You asked that we redact names, but where there are light green shades, those are folks that are newer employees, less than 6 months. Red means we're not filling the position. Dark green means there's a capability to fill it in the new budget year. Yellow means we're still considering whether we add that position or not. So those are what those colors mean, but it gives you a sense of the management duties of said departments, and that's sort of the best way we know to show you somewhat every individual employee and how they are directly reporting to whomever they are reporting to or what position. So you have that. And if you think of questions along any of this, please let us know. In your packet, in your material on page 7, we begin to look at some things you've asked about recently. And of course, Ms. Carroll is available and others to answer any questions specifically about this. But we wanted to make sure the board had a clear understanding of what a student success coach is versus an enrollment guide versus the role of a dual credit coach versus admission processors. And then we also wanted you to see sort of where we stand on the ratio. So that's what's presented in visually here for the audience as well. So right now with the success coaches, we're at a 1 to 807 student ratio, which is way, way below what is considered a best practice. Those common benchmarks they change. We used what I'd call more conservative nature, not the best case scenarios, but what's considered just pretty good if you're at that. I'll give you an example. Success coaches, Alamo District a few years ago realized that they had a ratio similar to ours. Now they have pocketbooks much deeper than ours, and in 1 year they hired 250 of those in order to get their ratio to 1 to 200. That's hard to get to. It's very difficult. What it does is you can prove that it automatically retains students more effectively, and it also increases your retention rates between semesters. They basically end up with their own set of students. They cohort that a lot, where you have one advisor for the whole career. A lot of times they chose to do it, I believe, around discipline as well. So like there's a health science one, there's a business major advisor, but they also have 8 fully comprehensive campuses, so you've got to consider that as well. And they serve, I think they're at 68,000 students now, so. But it helps with retention is the theory. Dual credit coaches, 1 to 735. So anyway, you get to see that. Our main stop enrollment guides, there's 1 to 1,500. What we were trying to just show you is the mass numbers of students that we're serving on a regular basis out of the main stop, out of student services. What has us very concerned, and later on in the board agenda itself, you'll see us talk about this again. We're down to 1 to 5,900 students per FTE in the counselor side. So we have Courtney.
So what is your enrollment?
And we're going to get there in just a moment, Dr. Bellows. Sure. Pass that mic over. And we're going to get to enrollment as well here in a moment to better help what that means, because it doesn't make sense if you look at it with 5,900 right now.
So for the ratios, how those were figured were based on the annual unduplicated enrollment, which I believe is on the next.
It is.
On page 9, or I'm sorry, it's further down. But it was based on from 2024 to 2025 annual unduplicated for our success coaches, and for the student success coaches, the dual credit coaches, and then the counselors. On the enrollment guides and the processors, that was actually doing the number of staff that we have to the number of applications that we received, and annually, at least for that particular year, and then past 2 years, we've received over 15,000 applications. So it's the ratio of employees to.
I'm just trying to determine how you came up with your numbers. So if you've got 4 admission processors, 4 for the whole system.
Correct.
Okay. So you have 8,000 students, or you have 15,000 applications. Which one are we looking at?
For the 2, using application data, we used application data for the admission processors and the enrollment guides.
So you have 4 of those and whatever, and that's for 15,000 people that apply.
That's correct.
But not the number of students
That is
that we
correct.
said. Okay.
Correct. For the other three positions that you see represented here in the chart, we use the annual unduplicated enrollment from the academic year of 24-25. We should have noted that under.
And I think what's important, or maybe we forget even as ourselves, is that it is we are processing, whether they come or not, 15,000 plus applications, and then capturing 8,500, and so that's not necessarily even normal. We have a lot of interesting retention rates between semesters at NCTC.
And the common benchmark was based on NACADA and some other national standards. It was based on some like trends for advising, and so that was based on some ACRO and other national organizations as well.
A good question. Looking at the faculty ratios, also very important as we consider what does the classroom look like. We are still at a 21-to-1. When you research national trends with faculty, the fact of the matter is that if you want philosophically the best learning environment, it's like 1-to-8. But no one can hit that benchmark. And honestly, when you're in the 20 to 25 range per faculty member, you're still in a very good spot, because universities often, if you're talking about freshman, sophomore courses, you're talking about sometimes 1 to 200, 1 to 300. Because they're lecture style and they're pretty, and you may not have a full tenured faculty member for that course. So feeling pretty good about that, feeling good that our ratio is not abnormal between full and adjunct for our sector now nationally. You're seeing a lot more utilization of part-time. It's not necessarily ideal, again, philosophically, but our ratios are not in a place where accreditation or any other outside would be, oh, what's going on with you? It's very common to see that benchmark. We wanted to kind of also provide what we've provided in the past, and we're struggling, honestly, because in the past, the state faculty compensation comparisons were provided by TCCTA, and I don't know how many of you follow TCCTA, but there's a bit of an identity and a little bit of a leadership crisis right now with that organization, in the sense that they've lost full-time staff. They're now a volunteer who is serving as director, who is a faculty member at San Jacinto College. So we don't have new data on that, and the last iteration of data, 20 colleges no longer respond to this study. So I felt like I would give you what we had last, which is what you have on page 7, 8, and 9, I believe. It's just what it is, but many of you, some of the U.S. board members had asked about, well, where are we in the average compensation for faculty? What does that look like? So the average take-home pay for faculty at NCTC is $70,000. With an average overload or additional compensation of around $9,000 overall on average. Now that ranges from additional compensation of some faculty getting no additional compensation, and then we have some faculty that have earned as much as $27,000 of additional compensation as one faculty member. That's the spread. And that includes extensions, overload, summer, that includes ICE, that would include a chair stipend if they have one, hard to hire, any extra above the base pay. So when you do that, if you look just at base pay, our spread's around $46,000. That particular level of 46 is an associate degree is required for that particular faculty member. It's in a technical program, all the way to $89,000, which is someone who's served a lot of years probably here. But that's the range of our base salaries at NCTC for faculty. That isn't in here, but you'll get a copy of the PowerPoint for sure. But I just thought that might be meaningful when you're looking at this.
Report out in these surveys that are reported out, and we compare ourselves to others, does that include the additional earnings?
Absolutely not, no.
So
Just base.
it's just base.
Yes.
So that is a little bit of a skewed piece of information if we're comparing earnings potential of a faculty member who maybe be earning $100,000.
It is absolutely possible. We have some faculty earning just under the $100,000 mark. Yes, ma'am. 98, 96,000.
Would it,
for a 9-month
would
contract.
it be fair to say that some community colleges, for instance, say Collin, would have a larger pool of adjuncts with which they could pull from, so there would be a reduction in the number of overloads that faculty members pursued?
That could be an assumption, Dr. Bellows, absolutely. What they do often is those bases that have a deeper pocketbook often have more full-time faculty, so there's less need for overload to cover, and then they have also included a lot of adjunct accessibility.
So one of our jobs might be to really sort of explain what that really does mean to faculty.
Sure.
Okay.
And then there's always going to be faculty that enjoy a summer course, for example. They want to do a summer one, or, we still are paying a derivative of the full-time salary for any full-time faculty member teaching in summer. So that ranges from what the adjunct rate would be all the way up to as much as $4,000 for one 3-hour course, depending on how many years you've been here and what your salary is. It's just a benefit that I think's probably been around since, I want to say, the 80s, a long time. It predates a lot of us. And so they get that. There's very few stipends associated anymore, except for the chair stipend. There's not a lot of stipends given. What we've done, in some cases, for example, you all have been a fan of the Open Educational Research Project. Each of those two faculty will get a reduction to do some of that work of their teaching load. But then when you add back in the fact that you're paying an adjunct, that costs kind of doubles, because you're paying not only what theirs is, but you're paying an adjunct to take the place of that position or an overload. So it's complicated. No single faculty member kind of has exactly the same pace when you look at that, because there's some that choose and never have wanted to do overloads, and they're just teaching their load. That's fine too. So you have those in front of you. Our adjunct rate, we're at $680. When you look at where we are and falling, I have not heard from colleagues yet about whether they're increasing their adjunct rate across the state. I have heard that most people are trying to do cost of living raises. That survey went out. But we're sort of in the middle there as well. But again, 20 colleges didn't respond this year, so it's hard for me to be able to benchmark truly. It's going to be below our North Texas colleges. We openly admit that, but in our sector, for our size college, it's not totally out of balance, but we always look at that when we look at any raise, and so that's where we've fallen the last few years, and you kind of can see where that lands. Likewise, we've increased our salary. Now, I'm happy to say, and Annette will get into this when we get into the budget lines itself and tell you kind of how we did this. But we've been able to find a 3% raise for staff and faculty in the budget. That ended up being less than $500,000, which we were because of some attrition. And we're taking that out of contingency down to 1.1 and change. Both Ms. Ferguson and I would not be comfortable presenting a contingency any less than $1 million, just because that's the cushion for what state volatility may occur. But we feel very comfortable with this, and that would even out consumer price index for the DFW area. So when you look at the final budget, and she goes through some of that with you this evening, those two changes are not noted in your current. We found that after we printed and sent to you all. Question? Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Specifically to cover the differences in the miscalculation that...
No, we've already figured in, and Annette, chime in if I'm wrong here, you might get the microphone back to her. We've already figured in the loss of that revenue. Okay. It's in there under revenue, but why don't you kind of talk us through the changes and what you did to right-size revenue maybe this year a little bit. I think it's still off. I think she turned you off. There you go.
So when we were looking at revenue for the current year and comparing that against actuals, what we were seeing is that we weren't meeting our goals on a lot of the tuition and fee situations. And so having, that contingency really helps us feel comfortable that we're not going to blow our budget by not hitting that number, right? And so what I've done throughout this entire budget is gone back, taken a look at what have we done historically in those respective categories. And at this point, I'm not assuming that we're going to do anything more than what we've done in the past. I'm not assuming a 3% increase or any other type of increase, because we just haven't seen that in the past years. And so as a total, I think you'll see tuition and fees on this budget decreases like a little over $900,000. And again, all those numbers are based on what we have actually done. And I did try to be very conservative in those numbers because we don't want to base our expenses on revenue numbers that may or may not be there. And so for the appropriations, we were able to get those estimates before we published this document. So you'll see that there was a little over $400,000 reduction in our state appropriation numbers. And so that is taken into consideration when you look at this budget.
So the coordinating board sent two versions. The first version came out and we had a $760,000 reduction. And then they notified CEOs that evening and CFOs we didn't do the math right, which didn't bode well with us. But we're like, do you realize how important this is? And your formula's off. And we pushed back on the coordinating board to say, this can't keep happening. We can't do our jobs. And so what you found was colleges going, how do we budget? The second iteration, the next day that came forward, reduced us to 460-ish, or about that, 420 maybe. So we bettered, but other colleges worsened. So there's one college in the state that's losing 25% of their state funds next year. So I think it's important, as we talk about here in just a moment, how we are funded, the funding model. I will update you on where we are there, because there's some true concerns and challenges that are going on right now. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I appreciate that Annette went through, and I keep using the term right-sizing the budget. She's gone in line by line and looked at revenue and what we really did. We kept, in years past, we thought perhaps that revenue would come in, that it would increase. When it didn't, we never came back, and so we said, let's right-size it. It's not going to be comfortable. It may mean you're not filling a few positions, but then you have a more conservative approach to generation of what you need to on the revenue side. You hope you outperform that, and you can, but then you're at least going in with something that's conservative that you feel you can accomplish under that model. So. And I should have probably reminded the board this evening, you're not deciding anything tonight. This is a real workshop. You can tell us, go back and work on this, or we don't like this, or we love this, or we'll update all this prior to the final approval of a budget. This is truly a Q&A and a workshop, so you're not committing to anything yet this evening. So what we'd like to do is, to your point, Dr. Bellows, earlier, I think it's important to understand how enrollment works, and Melinda kind of went through this. The unduplicated head count of who we serve in a year is very different than how many we have enrolled in a specific semester. So for example, even though we show 7,300 or we show 8,400, we served individual students 11,400 credit. Now this is only the credit side. We'll look at CE in a moment, but this is only the traditional CTE and academic transfer side. So we're anxious to hear from you as a board. Things have changed since the old days of reporting a 12th class day enrollment. It just doesn't make sense anymore. 12th class day means literally very little on a state funding or any of those things. It's a good benchmark to say if you're not in class, you won't be. But I mean, it's not anything more than that. And we've added second 8 weeks that aren't reflected in that first set of enrollment. And we have 16, and we have 8 front end 8, and we have mini-mesters. So as you're looking through, we look to you as a board to say, how do you want to see enrollment presented in the future? What would be more meaningful to you? Because we also don't want to wait to the end of the year and go, here's what we had this year. That's too late. But we're open to any of that you may have an opinion about, or say, hey, Dr. Wallace, we'd rather see this at this point in time. And on page 13, you get to see how different CE is from traditional, because CE works on a quarter system. And so the beauty of that is they're more, they're very able to add at different times and create those. But these are becoming fundable in a big way. So these are just as equally important students as the traditional credit student is. And none of the numbers that we present in enrollment up to this point on that page 12 reflect any of what's on 13. And so, yes.
Let's just say we want to compare ourselves to Weatherford or Vernon or whoever we want to compare ourselves to. At what point are we looking at what that number is compared to the number we're generating? In other words, if I look up how many students Grayson County has, and they say they've got 4,500, what does that mean?
So that's the problem, Dr. Bellows. I have seen it presented both ways. For example, I have been told by Odessa they're serving 10,000 students. If you look at the difference in these two buckets, they serve 4,800 to 5,000 credit, and the rest are CE. So state funding model, most of those is more like a 4,800 to 5,000. So it's hard because we don't know. We have to go back to an actual CBM report and benchmark against that. And our peer colleges that the state assigns us to don't make a lot of sense. So, for example, our new peer colleges have changed, and I didn't update this. Honestly, I'm going to have to update for our next year. Our peer colleges are Amarillo, Blinn, Central, Del Mar. Kilgore now is in our category. Lee has been added, Laredo, McLennan, Navarro, North Central, Odessa, South Plains, Texas Southmost, and Tyler Junior College. In that population alone, you have between 6,000 students that are reported and 20,000. And that's our peer group now from the state. Yes, ma'am?
With those bands.
You tell me. It's a coordinating board. Come up. The problem was they're not. I mean, I know Blinn probably right now has 18,000 students, I would guess. And they're who we're compared to statewide. Unduplicated. Yeah.
Or not add the CE in, or do we even know they?
We don't know that. We don't know that. And so, we do know this, Dr. Bellows. What I just read you, the 6 to 19,999, the 6 to 20,000, would be based on a CBM report of traditional students. What they narrate out there, we don't know what that includes. Does that make better sense, maybe?
So what's the benefit of being a 40,000 student versus a 4,000 student? What are we trying to accomplish?
Well, I don't think there's a benefit to either spectrum. It's just who you serve. And so from my standpoint, it's more about going back to your mission and saying, are we serving the students in our communities that we're asked to serve in a positive and correct way? It has less to do with, we want to be a 20,000. I mean, that doesn't matter. It's just 20,000 is great if you get there, but if you have 20,000, here's what I've told a lot of folks in the audience. We could go back to let's say we have 12,000 students, but let's say our completion is bad. You can go bankrupt with 12,000 students and be more profitable with 6 if they're finishing and we're doing the right thing.
And that's the number we want. Whatever that is, that's the one we want.
Right, sure,
Figure
yeah.
that one out, and that's
Figure
the
that number
you
out,
can
yeah.
give us.
Well, that'll be easy. Yes, Mr. Grimes. Yes.
Of how many dollars each college is getting from the state?
I do.
That might be an interesting list too, so then we can look and see, hey, how are they doing, and presume maybe, is it completion, what are they doing different?
Well, it is based on completion.
CE hours versus,
It's absolutely CE and CTE that's funding the mission now for every college, yeah. So if you've been an academic transfer institution historically with very limited CTE offerings, you are really struggling right now to keep your doors open. And we're seeing, you know, NCTC is about a 70-30 split, I would say now. We're about 70% academic and 30% technical. Colleges that are really pulling in state revenue, like Grayson, is 50-50. They're a nuance. That's not normal in Texas yet. And the question you have to ask is what the state wants us to be. And bluntly, I will say the state wants us to become more likened to the TSTC model than the pre-university model. That is just, you will hear that. I'm not trying to offer opinion. It's what it is. And we're having to do a hard sell back to even some of our coordinating board partners to say, academic transfer degrees aren't intended to be terminal. Don't judge them as they stand alone. They're intended to get you to the next step to be successful in your 4-year path. And we're being held accountable that the ROI doesn't come back on a general studies degree. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to lead you to the 4-year. But yes, we do have that data. Everyone lost this time, except for 2. And the 2 that won are big. 120,000 student big. And that's part of, you ask why they come up with these peer groups, because now we've gotten such big colleges in some areas that if you're over 20,000 students, you're in your own category. So for example, Lone Star, I think, is now at 120,000 students. All right. Understanding the new state formula. I'm not sure it's possible. We've gone through this before.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
On, in the page that says enrollment trends on page 13.
Yes, ma'am.
So, it looks like, I guess we're low in Q4 because we haven't completed that quarter,
That is correct.
right?
That is correct.
Okay. So, thinking back pre-2023, 24, because that's the information that we have.
Correct.
So, we had a different funding mechanism at that time, correct?
23 was the last year for contact hour. 24 began the new cycle.
Okay.
So, yes. And it didn't really, and we are still, Dr. Bellows, I'll be honest with you, we're still, the state is still trying to figure out how we're really going to fund CE. So you're still not seeing the full extent of what House Bill 8 intends yet either. It's stepping in. For example, CDL is an example for us. CDL is a program that is high demand, credential of value, et cetera. It's on our CE side. We will get these metrics for that program. Where some colleges have that metrics, they have it as a CTE program, not a continuing ed. They bought their own trucks, they did their own thing, they just want it to be credit. Some colleges have that as a credit program, earning the same outcome. That's another problem the state's pushing back on us, is they say your curriculums aren't aligned between institutions. For example, an HVAC certificate at Tarrant County may have a different set of courses than an HVAC program at NCTC. They're arguing that we're funding the Cert 1. You're getting funds for that. All you're doing is adding, these are not my words, all you're doing is adding more content, and you've already been funded once. Yes, but there's a need for that second level or we wouldn't do it. And all that's approved by the coordinating board. So if they don't want to fund those things, then the question I've asked the commissioner himself is, why do you approve our programs? Because we're not supposed to be the same. They aren't. Our communities ask for different things. And all that's based around advisory councils that our CTE folks use that says, I want to change CITE because we don't think they need this thing in Denton County or Cook County, where they might in DFW. And so trying to explain that's hard, and that's why it's very difficult to say everything CE is the same in the state and everything CTE is in the state. It's not at all the same.
And how do we determine the difference between CTE and CE?
It comes honestly through the faculty rank and what we believe is going to meet the demand most efficiently. I would argue that a lot of our customized training goes through CE because that's just industry wants something quick. Peterbilt wants a thing that
a blue
yeah,
paint
right.
instead of a red
Well,
paint.
for example, we did, but sometimes they want the credit. For example, years ago we did a huge GE locomotive grant, and Debbie Huffman, you were probably involved in working those folks. Daryl may have been here then. But we did 600 of their employees in welding, and they wanted the credit side of it. So that industry said, we want them to leave with a credited certificate. But then you may have someone come in like CDL and says, we don't care if it's credit or not. We want them fast, and we want them to drive and have a CDL. So it's very much up to the industry, and the instruction sits down with those folks and says, which is what do you want? And you all in the back row back there, correct me if I'm wrong. Sarah's like, no. Yeah.
I think right now we also have something that's growing all the time is our mirrored courses.
Your
Yeah.
what?
Mirrored courses. So our mirrored courses are
Please come forward and grab the mic just because we broadcast. Thank you. Because that is an important point.
So a mirrored course is one that we.
You're not turned, you don't have it turned on.
It's there.
It's there, I'm just not talking loud enough. A mirrored course is one that we offer on the CE side, but they are in the course that our credit students are also in. So we may have a welding 1407 on the credit side, but our CE students are in welding 1007. They're in the same exact course, same instructor, and so that's growing as well. They have, then if they decide to go on and get a certificate or an associate's degree, that we have experiential credit that they can then put that course towards their credit program.
We did that for years, honestly, too, among academic NCTE. If you had a faculty member who had I remember years ago doing this in criminal justice, for example. I had a criminal justice faculty member that not only could teach the CTE side of criminal justice, but had a master's degree in criminal justice, and I put CTE students in with academic. Same outcome, same course. They were qualified for both, and it just was dependent on what you needed as a student. So there's just so many new nuances to how we offer courses, and it's very independent to the college, to each college. So the only thing on this list that's dramatically changed is the outcomes, and we're on page 14 of your book. These are the things we negotiated with the coordinating board as a sector. So the community colleges got in a room and said, you know, this is the only thing that the coordinating board believed they could statutorily change right now. They didn't believe that they had the legal right without change of statute to change any of these dollar amounts, only weights. And these were 2.525 and 0.5 before, and they've been reduced. And that's where you see the reduction of our income, is because we overperformed. Everyone, as a state, we overperformed. And we were not given our dynamic payment, and we were not given the overperformance payment. So if you sit here today and you said, is this a dynamic formula? And you said, yes, it is, then the state of Texas owes $360 million to community colleges. But they don't have the money to pay it. So now it feels like, and I'm sitting here, you know, as Chancellor NCTC, not a state TAC chair, because I'm sitting here saying, okay, the problem is now we've returned to what feels then like an allocations model again, but it's based on outcomes and rather than contact hours. But you're still saying there's only one pot of money. And yes, they added $1 billion by going to performance-based, but the fact of the matter is, because they didn't project our growth appropriately, they projected that all the colleges would see less enrollment, less growth, and we didn't. So they even told the state not to give them as much money to begin with. We're having to work on the rears to say, okay, we got to cut that so that the money lasts the next biennium before the session starts in January, or the next year, pardon me, of the biennium. So it's just not there yet. Now, that being said, as we sit here today, to your point, Dr. Bellows, earlier about 23 in the old model, NCTC is still earning 19% more money under this model than we would have under contact hour model. So we're still better off, but we now have colleges that are learning less than they would have under the contact model. And that's a hard pill to swallow if you're one of those colleges. So everybody understands the new formula, right? Yeah. State contributions are fairly straightforward. This is where you see, to Net's point earlier, the reduction that we've incorporated in, but that gives you sort of all those things. So, Annette, do you want me to continue revenue, or do you want to take over? All right, this is easy, and then she'll take over for the details. Your next section is revenue, and what we've done is what we always try to do for you is we put together sort of where we are in our certification numbers in my column cut off, so it says certificatio. There's an N in there, it just didn't arrive apparently when we printed. Market value, appraised value, it just shows you where you have been over the last few years. I always like to remind people that that 12 cents in 2016 is really when you had the bond hit the book, so to speak. And when I say bond, I mean the health science ITC bond. So you can kind of see that we're still below that. And what I love is the chart below, because it really gives you a sense of that basic values are driving down even when you go up. They're driving the overall tax rate down even when you go up to the 7.99 or whatever you may choose to do. So that's healthy growth for our community. As we look at this, exciting things may be occurring in the next few years that we're thinking about, and that's the tax roll. We'll start to have a major investment that's taking place at the Gainesville Industrial Park. That value is $1.6 billion. That will double the tax valuation for Cook County almost on its own. You also have HEB that has purchased major land in Valley View in Cook County. That would go on our tax roll. So there's a momentum coming, plus all the housing, plus the apartments. No one's abating those. There's no, I mean, you're collecting on those. And so as they come on the tax roll, that benefits the college in big ways. We're excited there in that role to think, I think what you'll see us talk to you about during this next coming year that Annette was able to dig down and find is now coverage of the M&O in Cook County is going to occur. So we're going to get to a point where we may see a surplus of tax dollars over expense to do those bigger projects, to not have to lean on what we have in the past, which is those maintenance notes and things like that. So we're very encouraged by what we're seeing there. That's going to be interesting to look over as we collect this next year. So questions on that? We always give you the comparisons. We now officially beat the hospital. But all the other entities that collect taxes in Cook County are above us, their rates.
Common attorney, tax collection attorney, the college, do we use the same one as everybody else?
Yeah,
or do we have our
the
own?
county does it, yes, we do, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if the ISDs and all that do it as well, but we go through the county for our collection.
But
So
there's
the
some
county, the
attorney somewhere
hospital-
that we have approved some attorney to collect our taxes. They
Yes.
send a nasty
That's
letter
right.
and then another
Yes.
nasty letter,
Yeah.
and then if they ever sell the house, we get some money.
Right, that's correct, yes.
Do we pick that person, or?
No, it goes through the county.
Okay.
It's gone through the county. And we're starting to see that. The tax, yes. And we're starting to see that working because we never did push for that, and we've pushed for that.
But we didn't have too bad, it's really not that bad.
We collect 98% of our taxes. We're very, very nice. Yeah, which is unheard of. And, you know, yeah, I mean, we do very well with that. We've also are beginning to ask the question, because not only should we, but the state and the feds at collection of all bad debt, what does that look like, including student debt? So it's hard, but, you know, when you have students that come in that there's more fraud than you've ever seen in your life right now, and you have students that'll come in and they're sitting here wanting more debt from us when they already have hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you're sitting there going, you're done. That's hard, and we've got some real life examples we can't talk about, but it's real. So So there's that. I always give you this just as a comparison. This, again, is the old peer group. I would need to add some other colleges next year, but what this translates to is this is the levy of taxes for our peer institutions compared to our tax levy. So these are their dollars they get in taxes in large colleges. Blinn is low. Blinn's got the lowest tax rate in the state. Many, many years ago, Blinn, and you worked there, Annette, correct me if I'm wrong, Blinn sort of made the decision that Brian's going to be the thing, and so they don't worry about a tax base because a lot of revenue's coming back to them. And so they've kept it low, but it's hurt them, honestly, on base tier. We're still getting base funding, and because they haven't hit certain metrics, their base tier is less than it could be if they had raised their taxes over the years. So that's actually hurting them a bit. Then you see North Texas colleges, which is just makes me a little bit. We do a lot for the money we have, because when you look at this, I would also add tonight at your desk, I've provided you a report from the state auditor, which looks like this. The concern I have is when you look at some of our colleges and the fact that our colleges in our North Texas generate $400 million in taxes, right? And then you look at what they have invested in what their reserves equivalency to is. So you're at Tarrant has $1 billion in investments and generates $400 million a year in tax revenue, not including tuition and fees. There's still some serious inequities in the state when it comes to how we fund each of our mentions. So I say we do a whole lot of good work for the resources we use. And then I have never given this to you before. I think it's interesting to see who has a branch maintenance tax now. It's not common, but these are the ones that do. And it's very ironic that Hill has a branch maintenance that actually equates to more than some of your in-county, and including them. They don't get, I don't think they get that much in their district because they only have Hill County. So just interesting who has those. Clarendon has some, Frank Phillips, and then we have those as well. So that's Graham revenue there is what that means. All right. Graham, what would it look like if they go up to a rate or what they've done in the past? They've gone up to 4.4. You know, we've talked about this. When they built the campus, the community committed to 0.05, 5 cents. Well, this was the year that the governor, the state voted to cap your ability to go up. That's why you see it coming down, is they can't go to 5 cents anymore without voter approval. But they cover their M&O. And I think that's an important aspect as well. All right, this is a little disappointing. Later on in the board, you'll have an agenda to this effect, but we had gone up on tuition. We'd gone up on fees in an attempt to cover some things, and that's in your board material that we'll discuss later. But long story short, I received a letter from the governor, as all CEOs, both of universities and community colleges, saying you may not go up on your tuition and fees this year at all. You must maintain whatever rate you had in 2023. So we are going to lose $600,000 and change of revenue we were wanting to receive by having to go back to our old fee and tuition structure. Now, there's still an argument. Colleges have done that, still have done some, but the only argument is around if it's based on a program, so to speak. So, for example, if we said, and I'm just making this up, that nursing is more expensive or cosmetology because of something, you can increase your fee to help cover maybe some of that, but it gets really hard on the programming side to say, oh, well, you have a different fee structure than this student, We'd rather keep it simple for students, keep it flat. And so that's the only way you can get an additional fee is if you have a program specific. And really that becomes just an in and out fund, so.
Dr. Moss,
Yes.
are there any community colleges that you know of that are ignoring the request?
No. Because one of the things you don't want to do is ostracize yourself from leadership when you're going into a session where you need to have support for your funding.
I know that was talked about at one time.
They did it by program. The only ones I know that did it for some expensive nuance where they said, I can prove that that one program's expensive. So like, I do know of a couple that did that, but no one's that I'm aware of has gone strictly against and said we're doing it anyway. If they do, it's because the way that the original letter was written, it says the language around the legality really doesn't include us, but the intent is to include us. That came straight from Governor Governor Abbott. Governor Perry, boy, I went back. All right, in-district tuition and fee comparison, though, everybody's going to be the same because we can't go up. So, we're at 19th in district. Seems a little high, but again, when you think about how and y'all don't even try to read this, we'll get it to you. But if you think about the tax revenue generated by all those with lesser money, we're still very, very, very affordable. Same with our tuition and fee structure for out-of-district. We're high because our out-of-district students are Denton County. Most colleges don't have the number of out-of-district students we do. There's about 5 of us that the population of out-of-district outweighs in-district. There are some colleges that they're in-district and there is no out-of-district. They don't serve anybody but Dallas County. They don't serve anybody but Collin. So that's why we rank pretty high there. And I always get tickled. Austin Community College says we won't let you be there if you don't tax yourself. They've always had an attitude of if you don't build a campus and fully annex yourself, we're going to charge you a lot. So always the state unfunded mandates, always they say there are waivers and exemptions. That's going down just a tad, just by not much, but at least it's not surpassing the million yet. But this is everything from your Hazelwood to your current firefighter to your student that is in any regard to CPS or Child Protective, if you're a foster child, if you're a veteran, all those pile into this. They're unfunded mandates in the sense that the state says you can't charge tuition, but we have to pay for it. And so I think that's always, I'm amazed at how many people ask me, well, you just don't have to charge it. I'm like, but you have to book it on the other end as an expense. And so we're paying for that.
And universities are as well.
Yes. So. And then our federal financial aid, it's going to be interesting. It's pretty flat, which I think is not a bad thing. There's a lot of abuse going on with federal financial aid right now in the nation, not just, anyone in particular. I'm anxious to know what ultimately Workforce Pell's going to do to these numbers, because now there's Workforce Pell eligibility. It's going to have a very tight narrative of what will qualify for that, but we're working with state leaders to say, okay, what does that mean? It could add Pell, for example, to that CDL program we were just talking about that's not a traditional program, but all of a sudden it's doing what industry needs and what community needs. We're going to let you use Pell for that. That's different. We're going to have to figure those things out, but that could then increase that. Okay, I'm tired of talking. We're going to turn this over to Annette for the assumptions and the budget that you've got presented, and we'll go from there. And again, audience, we're sorry. There's no way you could read this, so we didn't even try. You'll need your microphone probably again. Sorry. You can put it on the little stand, maybe. We've already injured her, apparently. Okay, somebody help her. She's down to one good arm, y'all. We didn't do it to her, for the record. Push it down. There you go. It's just for recording. Y'all can hear her probably.
Thank you very much. Starting on page 24 of your workbook is the preliminary budget summary. What I've tried to do here is to group it together to give you totals by different categories, like totals by general administration, by academic instruction, by technical instruction, et cetera, et cetera. There's a couple of things I want to point out. We've already talked about revenue and how I've tried to approach revenue, but on the expense side of the house, I took a little bit of a different approach on expenses as well. And what I've tried to do here is to create a true operating budget. So there were expenses maybe that had been budgeted in the past, i.e. depreciation. And that has no impact on cash at all. And all it does really is tie up, in our case, $2 million worth of resources that we could be using for other things. We could be using it for capital improvements. We could be using it for a number of other things. So with this budget, I did not include those types of items in this budget. I want this to be more of a cash basis and more of an operating budget. When you look through here, you're going to see that there are times where it may appear that there was either a large increase or a large decrease. I can tell you most of those, if not 100% of those, has to do with me trying to reposition items in our budget. For instance, if you were to look at athletics, you're going to see the expense went crazy high, right? Well, it didn't really go up in true dollars, but what happened is in the past we had coaches classified as instructors, even though they were not teaching any classes. And so their salaries were showing up under physical education on the instruction side of the house. But if they're not teaching any classes, their salaries need to be reflected in the sport that they are coaching. And so I have moved those to be more appropriately categorized in this budget. You will also see instances like on page 24 under auxiliary funds. So you can see some swings going on there. Last year, we had room and board just grouped together as one number. And so then when we were trying to peel apart and figure out our cafeteria situation, it made it very difficult. So for this next year, we're going to be recording the expenses and the revenue in separate accounts so that we can tell how much of our revenue is related to room, how much of our revenue is related to board, and how does that board number compare to what we're paying Great Western, just to try to keep things in line. So on the tax assumption, what I have in here right now does reflect a 7.9% increase on the M&O side of the house. We have an increase automatically on the INS side, right, for the maintenance notes that we just issued. But I assumed a 7.9% increase on the M&O side. So that is something I want you to be aware of. And if we want to make a different assumption there, we can do that.
And Annette is providing, and we'll talk about here in a moment, different assumptions for you all that we really liked this year. She created this new approach to how we can look that gives you real dollars, or what does that affect a $100,000 value. So she'll go through that here in a minute. But as I said earlier, that's this is up to your input. So 7.9 is in there to her point, but we're open.
When you're looking at the use of funds, I've already spoken about depreciation being removed from this. The other thing that is a little bit different in this budget than what you might have seen before, and you would see it under the general and administrative totals. You can see it shows like a decrease of general institutional of $942,000. That is an estimate of lapsed salaries. So we are lapsed.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, so what typically happens is most colleges do not budget 100% of salaries because you have so much overlay, and there's times where someone's out. So this is budgeting 95% of salaries, and that's what that dollar comes from. We've always been I mean, ultra conservative by budgeting 100%. And so we've taken that there. That's what, so lab salaries.
Administrative went up a lot. Where was that shift from?
A lot of that is in software. And we are currently in the process of going through a line by line evaluation of all of our software costs. So in this budget period, all of that as software are may evaluate them, and it is something application different and
The various, that all in. Okay, thank you.
And some unfortunately too, because if Gen or if they cloud, they're going up to the tune of $500,000 on those because they
Corinth campus, why did they increase so much?
that is utility bills have increased, and so electric pulled a lot of services together. We will try to combine all of our maintenance, all of our all of this. We've you know kind of some of that, but there are some increases there. Just those that's some cheaper, but a lot of times that's utility costs and maintenance costs. That's so.
Or whatever, Flower Mound, whatever, and Alliance, or what? No, what am I not seeing here? So you say right here, under general administration, you got various campuses specified there. Then over here, so that's just administration,
administrative cost associated with
And it's-
operating those.
and it's gone up.
So
The-
for instance,
The Corinth campus has gone up 60, one of them's gone up $63,000 for just
Flower
administration.
Mound, for instance, for Flower Mound, I just pulled up the detail on that one. It shows that it went up $63,000. And what that is we now have a employee that is classified as full-time for that campus. They were not budgeted in that manner last year. So it appears that it's an increase, but it could be just a reclassification as far as where they were charged last year.
Thank you. The Denton County M&O, that is a lot, in a lot of cases, I guess that's rent.
Yes, the lease payment
Correct.
that's associated with that,
Okay.
with that campus. I already mentioned the physical education change there. When you look under academic instruction, it shows a large decrease. Again, that was a reclassification to athletics when we moved those salaries over.
Why did VA Department financial aid go down $10,000?
Which one are you looking at? I'm sorry.
3301. Under student services.
Page 27.
The-
I'm trying to pull
oh.
up the detail here.
So that would reflect that there was just a general less need of dollars in and out for VA, and we're having
So our full-time
Yeah, right.
salaries actually went
Went down.
down in that department. It was 518,000 last year, and it is projected to be 508,000.
So that's an employee, one of our employees' difference in an employee.
And Dr. Bellows, it's important to understand the VA and financial aid are not, it's not VA on its own in that
Sure,
category.
sure,
I just
yeah.
want to make sure
I
we
was
all,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
that would be, and then I think one of the last questions I have is the Dean of Students and Outreach went down $100,000. What's the reflection there?
We have eliminated that position and are combining another job into it.
Okay. No more questions.
Annette, anything else you want to highlight?
No, the only other thing I would point out, of course, on the debt section, which is on page 26, is the addition of our new debt payment. It's about 746,000 for our tax notes this next year. So that is what that large increase would be. The increase that you see in staff benefits is offset by revenue that we will receive from the state as well, so.
Under the student services, just looking at like admissions, recruiting, counseling, they've got decreases. Is that losing positions? Because we just looked at earlier that it was.
Yeah, Ms. Morris, in an attempt for us to right size and to get control of the budget and yet be able to support full-time, I requested a 50% reduction to part-time. And so that was done. Now, the goal is when you get into your year, if enrollment and those things come in and revenue begins to be more improved, you can add back in. And it didn't necessarily mean we cut every single budget's part-time by 50%. It meant overall, because that didn't mean adjunct in that category where you need adjunct. We had, for years, we had put together overtime and part-time dollars together. And it was hard for us to track, and one of the things Annette's done is we've separated it out, and now we know what is overtime for staff and what is part-time for the department. So we reduced the part-time to see, are we going to right-size that as well, knowing that we probably will have to add as the year goes on. But part-time dollars are the easiest thing we do when revenue or when a class makes or whatever comes in. But that's why you see that reduction.
So your building maintenance went up a lot. Is that some of that maintenance tax notes?
The notes? No.
That's just gonna be us, again, trying to continue to maintain our facilities so that we do not have to continue to go out for large maintenance notes.
And grounds maintenance, are we subbing that out, or are we doing that ourselves? Or what are
We're
we doing
looking to sub that out going forward. We've gotten some different quotes on what it would take to sub out all of it versus what it would cost to maybe just sub out the flower beds or maybe just the plants, different pieces of the whole project. And it actually came out to be a better value for the college to outsource the entire process. So they will be mowing, they will be maintaining the flower beds, they will be purchasing plants for the flower beds. That will be an all-inclusive number, which in years like this year, we've kind of piecemealed it to try to get us through the year.
And what we're struggling with, Dr. Bellows, is we need maintenance employees to do maintenance work. And that's to a certain extent now becoming your HVAC, your plumbing, your daily operations. The door doesn't work, that we need
Are we skilled for those services?
We are, yeah. We have a full-time HVAC. We have hired our own graduates, which are kind of cool, in HVAC, plumbing, and electrician. And so we've even used our own interns, to start learning those things, which we think is really an awesome way to put them at work. So, yes, ma'am, I feel like we are. The big jobs continue to have to be bid out, but
What are you doing on vehicles? It doesn't show anything here, so what are you doing on that?
So we are, and Annette may be better suited, we're looking at it again. We're not convinced, and Alan can chime in if we need to, but we're not convinced that the enterprise agreements is quite as good as we need it to be, or that we need the number of vehicles we have. So right now, we're in the middle of that study. We're working with Enterprise to say, tell us what we spent this year. The thing is, some of our vehicles, when we resell back, are worth more than what we're paying for them. For example, when we sell one of those dualies that Equine uses back, there's a high demand for a used, and that's doing us well. We're better suited to buy a passenger van than to spend the large amounts of money we are in busing athletes or busing student groups by individual, because we were leasing or we were renting buses to do that with drivers. But we're looking at that, and Annette, I don't know that we're quite there yet, but
No, I don't have that.
we're not losing money on Enterprise, but I'm not sure we're gaining enough momentum that we'll want to continue that or not. So we're studying that over the next 6 months to see.
And there's nothing for equine facilities, and I know you're in a process, though.
Correct. The Equine facility had increased because we are getting.
No, there's nothing on here. Over here.
Yeah, it's flat. Yes. So we would not incur the expense of the arena in that anyway.
Okay.
It's a facility that has to do with insurance and reimbursement, so we wouldn't have included that there. So I'm going to let Annette kind of take you through the next, and then we'll come to some questions. These are considerations that you're not deciding tonight, because depending on what you decide down the road, you would have to have hearings accordingly and all that. So I'll let you.
Okay, so starting on page 28, what we've done here is we've given you some different scenarios on what would happen if we were to increase the M&O side of the tax rate. So keep in mind, interest and sinking is what it is, right? Whatever our debt payment is, that's what that side of the house has to be. And so when we talk about increases of 3% or 7% or any percent, it can only impact the M&O side of the equation. So on page 28, this is a scenario where we would increase the M&O by 3%. If we did that compared to where we were in the prior year, what would be that increase? And so if you look there in the middle, it says a change from, and so it would generate about $300,000 if we did a 3% increase. If you turn the page, you'll see what it would be if we did a 5% increase or if we did a 7.9% increase. And as I told you earlier, the budget that is before you, the proposed budget, I should say,
that last blue square, is that really the CAD of 9/1/2025 instead of 2023?
yes,
Okay.
yes. Sorry, thank you.
They're all the same here, yes.
On the next page, you can have the scenarios of 5% increase and then 7.9% increase. And as I told you earlier, the proposed budget that you have reflects a 7.9% increase of the M&O rate, in addition to the increase that will be required to meet the INS obligations.
So Annette, if you would, if they chose to do that down the road at 7.9, when you think back to your tax total, what would be the total with a sinking rate, and what's your total tax rate then? It would be the
.11465.
Okay. 0.11465, which is below the 2016 rate that you had when you did your bonds first time. So you're still, again, the valuation coming up is benefiting the tax rate by doing that. Now, I will make a comment here that's just for face value what it is. The governor has made very clear some intentions about the next session, and one of those intentions is to end property tax in the state of Texas. That includes if you end taxes, that would be the elimination of community college taxes, the elimination of ISD property taxes, county taxes, all of it. Now, what could be on the horizon is what has been done to county and others, and that is a 3.5 rather than a 7.9. So I just offer you that. Who knows what will happen? We're open to your discussion. You're not deciding tonight. You've got time to think about that. If you decided to go to the 7.99, there's a clear calendar we'll have to provide you at that point in time that dictates open forums for community. But we did budget that because you kind of hinted in the past few months that you all were inclined to do that one more time in case, but we offer you any numbers of those.
Page 30 is basically the same thing, just based on the current rate, if you made no change in the rate. And then also on the bottom of that page, you can see an estimate for the Graham ISD, based on what the current rate for Graham ISD is.
I do need to notify the board of a couple of things with Graham ISD that has us concerned. New leadership at Graham Independent School District has reversed previous agreements to weight dual credit equal to AP. They have halved it. We are in negotiation with them and in conversation as to the intent originally for that campus. What it could do is negatively impact Red River Promise students, because if we don't have the dual credit student on campus, in addition to Red River, you begin to worry about making courses, if that makes sense. The intent all along from city leadership when that was passed was that the dual credit student go to the campus. I communicated that to their superintendent. I said, that's going to be a community conversation because we built that campus they did for us and said bring dual credit to it. One of their staff members that's a longtime resident said, I agree, that was what the plan was. But new leadership there also wants us to embed everything. So little concerned that the Graham ISD already voted without notifying us to half that weight, and they are in control of your tax rate there. So I'm just giving you information. We're working on that. I don't know where we're going to be. It's been a constant communication between myself, Melinda, and Ms. Seekins, our dual credit director, as far as just trying to path those out and say, well, listen, they want technical, they're willing to send technical, but they want to embed all the academic. Well, again, that becomes a challenge. You need that academic to make that campus. And Sharice, I don't think was able to be with us. She's involved in those conversations as well, trying to help us. And then I've talked to city leadership myself to say we're a little concerned.
I thought I heard someone weight them the same.
So there's a new TEA regulation. Well, it's actually Coordinating Board and TEA have come forward with new rulemaking, and the last I heard is they're going to force schools to weigh them equally. I don't know if that's this current year or next year, Ms. Seekins, Ms. Carroll. It hasn't passed yet, so that is being presented in the session. Okay. That would be very beneficial because, well, and the academic in me worries about AP. It's not what most people believe it is, as far as it's good for some students. I'm not negatively saying AP's bad, but AP still takes other steps to get to the college credit side, where if you do a dual credit, it is dual credit. And I think still that's a parent learning curve a lot of times.
I spoke to a private school headmaster this past week, and she explained in detail some of the AP aspects, and she said it's merely teaching to an exam. She said all it is a final exam.
It had a purpose. I argue whether that purpose now with the expansion of dual credit is necessary anymore, but I'm a college guy. You know, it's kind of like what I've said about certain other technical institutions in the state that I don't think we need anymore either, because community colleges are covering that work. Why are we funding double? Why did we give an $800 million endowment to them? So, yes, ma'am. All right, we just, Kay's here if you have questions, but basically what we gave you too was just a glimpse at the rates are going up 8%. Again, we knew that last year, all the insurance rates were going up 8%. They're going up another 8%. That's why you see us trying to provide for you and for our staff and faculty a 3% raise. We were hoping, we hate it when people go home with less because of a rate increase on insurance. You know, so that's part of that. And then there's been so that's offered to you. If you have questions, Kay can answer them because I certainly couldn't, or Lauren or someone. This has come up from some board member requests, and I just don't know that we knew we were doing this. I don't know if the board knows about this, but we pay for the retirees. There is a cost associated with every retiree. Yes, you're welcome. And it's not bad, but I think we just, it ebbs and flows. If someone passes away, it goes down some. I mean, it's just what it is. But 1.2 million is taken out of our state appropriations before we ever get them for that purpose. So I just don't know that we've ever told the board that. And Dr. Bellows, you were kind of curious the other day, where is that rate now? So we're just letting you know that's where it is. There's not a problem in that, but it's still taken out of your state appropriations before you get it. But we're at about 1.2 million, and Annette's very well versed in that, and we got those numbers from Human Resources where we are, but there is a cost to that, and that's fine, but that's where we're at with that cost. And it's probably going to go up next year because we've had a lot of retirees. Debbie's hoping so. She's back in the back looking at me like, what are you going to do about that? Yes.
I didn't ask to do anything about it. I
Nope.
just think it's a very important thing that we do at this institution for our employees. And we sort of take it for granted. You know, we maybe don't, well, y'all don't because you're writing the checks, but we do because that's just something you owe us, you know, and it's not something you owe us. It's something that you have generously gifted the employees, and I know I'm appreciative, and I know that they are too, and I just kind of wanted to bring that up to the board, that it's a real perk to work here and receive those benefits, so thank you. And I felt like they would want us to thank you.
Oh, everybody does, yes. But it's one of the it's one of the benefits of being a community college employee. And it's different than private university sector, that's different from it. Yeah, and so I just think the point is, it is a benefit, and you know, we often look at the benefits, and when you start tacking together insurance, retirement, holiday, vacation, we try to let people know that has value too, when you may not be the highest paying gig in the town. Right. So there's a lot of benefits to working, and we are very generous comparatively to other colleges, though, on the holiday and vacation and leave. We are more generous than others there.
Hours of operation.
Hours of operation, we are one of the few left that don't work 40 hours a week. There's only like 5 of us left that don't. So there's where we are able to offer to people something, because we may not be at that top pay
And
scale.
if we ever have to have the 40-hour a week, it's not that we jumped out there and did it first.
Right,
It's
right.
that we're trying, but if we have to, we have to, and if we don't make our employees aware of these perks and things that are of benefit to the employees, then it seems to hurt more when it comes.
Well, and I remind the board, if you are a salaried employee, that doesn't really affect you very much. But if you're hourly, we don't pay overtime until they cross the 40, even though they may not. So, I mean, it's not like it costs the college more for them to do those extra hours. I mean, we try not to, but overtime doesn't kick in till 40 still, so. And then finally, we just kind of wanted to give you a brief update. That's not a slide to this, but our Lion book bundle report's there for you. Pretty exciting. They did a survey of students, and 82% reported the program had a positive impact on their academic success. Their books are ready to go, so you have that kind of as a narrative. But what I was excited about, we've actually saved approximately $571,000 for student textbooks through the program. So that's great for students. When you combine that with OER and other things we're doing, we're really doing some good things for our students. We are open to any questions you may have surrounding the budget or anything that we've talked about. Any directives you want to give us or things you want us to look into. Included this evening with your material is a strategic plan. All these things align with the strategic plan. Also, you have your trustees' quarterly book provided through the American Association of Community College Trustees. Questions?
Dr. Wallace,
Yes.
there is one more comment that I'd like to make, to point out. In this budget, in years past, when we would budget Graham taxes, we would budget it at whatever, let's just say $500,000. But expenses to operate the campus, we may only budget that at, let's just say, $200,000. So that $300,000 gap was falling down to the bottom. So in essence, that $300,000 was covering other expenses that it really cannot do, right? So when you look at this budget, you will see a large increase at Graham, and that is to make sure that all of the money that is collected at Graham will be spent in Graham. And the other entity that is that way is Medal of Honor. We receive about $500,000 to operate Medal of Honor. And in the past, we have whatever that differential was, it was just falling down to the bottom line of that budget. And so now with this budget, the expenses and the revenue do zero out, and if there are any excess funds related to the funding versus the expense of operating that facility, those funds will be held for the operation of that facility. We are also reclassifying all the interest to be part of that fund as well, so that the revenue that we are given to operate the Medal of Honor Museum will be spent on Medal of Honor Museum. So I just wanted to make that that note.
And I think that's important as we talk to our tax base, that they understand that right now, well, there's never an intent to, we intend to always operate Medal of Honor off state dollars. There's no tax dollars from Cook County required for that. Their salaries associated with it are not coming from county taxes. The state has chosen to support that and continue to support that, and that's helped us where it's not a financial burden to the college or the taxpayer. Questions, comments, directives? Rate match for retirement is 0.25, I believe. Yeah. 8.25. Yeah. Yeah.
Any questions, comments? Okay,
Best budget.
I would agree. I was
I-
gonna say the same thing, Lisa,
Not sure who did this,
but it's very well
but
laid out.
thank you, and
Thank
it
you.
was a good job.
I wanted to provide you all narrative this year to really express what we're doing, and so thank you. We'll try to
Yeah,
continue
very
that
good.
practice. Perfect. All right, ma'am.
Okay, the next item on our agenda would be that we will, at this time, open the regular meeting. And we'll move to the next item. Item number 5 is the citizens desiring to address the board. Sandy, do we have anyone this evening? Okay, thank you. Next item is a special recognition. Wallace.
Not going to like the fact that I'm recognizing him, but I don't care. NCTC's own Daryl Smith has been officially recognized by the U.S. Naval Sea Cadet Corps as a national award winner. Daryl, stand up. He excelled through multiple levels of competition, including unit, North Texas region, Northwest and South Central area, and ultimately the national stage, competing against cadets from across the United States, several territories. One of the unit reps said everything he does all the time is above average. Daryl is one of the most genuine and hardworking individuals we know, and we're proud to have him on our team. One of his colleagues currently, of course, Daryl serves as our Dean of Industrial Technology, but he's been very involved. In fact, he's probably very tired after last week. We had Sea Cadets on campus. 47, Daryl, was it 47 or 57, even more. And so we're very proud of Daryl. He travels to Norfolk, Virginia to accept his award here before too long. So, Daryl, congratulations. Very good. We also, yes, please. In addition to the 57 Sea Cadets, we had 40-plus Cub College kids on campus that were having a great time. That was a great event. If you saw every age on campus this week, and one little girl came up to me and said, I was in the same class as my brother. And so I think they took a microbiology that time, and she was very excited to say, I'm in a college class with my brother. He's 20-something, and she was 7 or 8, I don't know. But they were great. Had a great time, so thank you to Continuing Ed, Sarah and her team and others for putting that together. I think they enjoyed it, but the kids wanted it to last all summer, and they were glad it was done in a week. So, but thank you for your work there. We'll have some recognitions next month around our police department, or in August, so that's all we have under that, but thank you.
Okay, the next item would be reports, and the first one would be report from the Board Executive Committee. We did meet on June the 23rd at 9 a.m. We discussed the budget workshop. We discussed the state funding that Dr. Wallace has mentioned in the previous budget workshop today. We updated the data requests from some of our board members. That a lot of that has been disseminated and that were included in these reports today. Also, we are starting some studies on the return on investment for some of our programs. We talked about staff salaries, the faculty salaries, and then we looked at the maintenance notes. And then finally provided a state audits report on the amount reflecting the inequity of funds in the dollars that Dr. Wallace mentioned earlier for investments. Thank you. And then we adjourned at 10:15. All right, the next one would be the Finance Committee. Christy?
Committee met on June the 23rd at 7:30 in the morning. We discussed updating signature cards related to the workman's compensation claim account. We had some budget updates. We had some detailed discussions about expenses related to security projects, the dorm construction, the tax notes, OER, and Medal of Honor. We looked at a copy of the audit engagement letter that has an approximate cost of $60,000. We were notified that there will be an update or a prior period adjustment related to the art collection in the Performing Arts Center that hasn't been accounted for, and it'll be a $1.5 million adjustment. We looked at April and May financials, and then we discussed that the tax notes were finalized and the funds were deposited. And the meeting adjourned at 9:10.
Okay, thank you for that report. We have a Building Committee report. Mr. Ryan.
Several things we discussed. We discussed the tax note projects, and the business office remodels complete. The 800 building roof repair is complete. We starting roofs on 6, 4, and 500 buildings. The 800 building, the HVAC replacement is 50% complete. And on the 2100 building, the welding exhaust has been ordered, and we estimate an August completion on that. Some of our summer projects, we had discussed those: outdoor riding arena resurfacing, Bonner Hall and Hayes Hall repairs, parking lot striping, parking lot curb repairs, and the 6 and 200 building paint refresh and carpet. We also discussed the new dorm with Clark Hall. It's currently on schedule and on budget. First floor framing is complete. The third floor decking is complete. The roof still will be completed in the beginning of July, and Key seems to be doing a good job keeping the project moving forward. Then we adjourned at 8:30.
All right, thank you for that report. The next one would be the reports to the board, and the first one would be the financials. Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you. The main things that I want to point out to you is we did close on the maintenance notes. If you look at your quarterly and monthly investment reports, you're going to see that under text pool, cash and investment pools, you will see where we got the $6.7 million in funds from the issuance of the tax notes. The exciting part about that is, although we got $6.7 million, the amount of debt that we issued was $6.4 million, because those bonds were issued at a premium, and so we did actually receive 6.7 versus the 6.4. Presenting the quarterly and monthly quarterly investment report to you is part of the requirements of the Public Funds Investment Act, and so that is one reason I want to bring that to your attention and ask if you have any questions regarding that report.
Any questions? Okay. No, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you through with your report?
Sure.
Okay. Perkins funds, do we just get those in the fall?
No, we get them as we spend them, basically. So we spend them, and then we can go out and pull those monies down.
We got internal transfer within Perkins funds in September, but then not again. I mean, I'm not seeing it like in February. I would think that would coincide with the semesters, but maybe I'm not seeing what I'm not understanding.
Allocation sometimes. So I think that one was a secondary attempt that we were awarded, and CG
Additional
faculty or deans, correct me if I'm wrong. So we were able to pull down additional money over what we had originally earned through Perkins. So they'll let you reallocate or say, hey, we've got some funds, let's see if we can get that extra payment. And it has a tighter window, but we were able to accomplish that.
And then what were the SBDC state added funds, Small Business Development Center? There's $800,000 in SBDC state added funds, and it says November total. I don't have a page number here. It looks like that. It's the page after the pie charts. Sorry for my...
So we have a state match that adds to the SBDC because we're not the fiscal agent for that.
Okay.
So the fiscal agent is Dallas College, so money comes in at sporadic times in order to reimburse us for the things we do there.
Gotcha. And what was the full-time salary omitted from original budget in December? $50,000.
That was just one budget that somehow that person was left off of the budget whenever the budget was created. And so we just needed to add that to the budget. It was purely an oversight.
Right.
Do we still have work-study students? I mean, can you explain work-study students? How's that working for us?
Pardon? Yeah, we do. We use a lot of them.
Because Okay. All right.
I don't want to speak for the whole college, but I know student affairs and various other student-facing offices rely heavily on those student workers across our district. Even Maria, who was here tonight, she's a Red River I think many of them are funded through work study. So,
It was always a great program when I
yeah,
was here.
I think that's where I started. That was my first job in higher ed. So, and I think a lot of us have that same story, and I think we have those students.
Yeah, we are always trying to utilize them in appropriate areas. I would argue life's more complicated than when I was a work study. Yeah. I had access to everything in the world that I shouldn't now.
Sure.
But we really use them to relate to students, admissions, enrollment, Red River.
Financial aid does a great
financial
job of
aid.
helping place students in certain areas if it might not be a good fit in one department. They, talk to managers in different areas. I have a few students that kind of didn't fit so great in one area, fit better in working in our food pantry here. So
We've used
try
them
and place them
like
at,
Dr.
to
Del
help.
Rio and campus leadership
yes.
use them for things on campuses to help out with tours or whatever may need, or just working some clerical things. Food pantry.
Food
yeah.
pantry, tour guides.
All right. Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda, item number 8, is the consent agenda items. That tonight we have 2 of those. Are either one of those needed to be removed to visit independently?
Madam Chair, we provided at your desk this evening a corrected version of the minutes for April 20th. You can still adopt those, but would need to adopt them as a part of that correction. There were only 2 errors. One was a typographical misspelling, and the other was not showing Mr. Krebs as present when he voted and made the motion to be there. And so
Okay.
he's now been added, and we had informative instead of informative. We left our R off.
Okay. All right, so we would need to independently do that, or just
Probably
make with...
do for Robert's Rules
Okay,
of Order.
all right. So then we'll make a motion, actually, I'd like to make a motion that we remove item A for further discussion and approval. So at this time, we will still need to move forward with the approval of the remaining item B on the consent agenda items. Do I have a motion? We have a motion by Mr. Grime. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Henderson. A discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye and raise your right hand. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Now we'll go back and approve item A, which is the consideration of the approval of the April 2026 as amended per the document at your workstation this evening. Do we have a motion?
So move.
We have a motion by Dr. Bellows. We have a second by Erica Sullivan. Additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your right hand. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is discussion, under item 9 would be discussion and action. So that first one is the consideration of revoking the tuition and fee schedule approved on the March 30th, 2026 a board meeting.
So I provided for you, I told Annette I would tackle this one because it's really more of a political concern and what it is causing by not being able to increase our tuition and fees. That being said, you had a pretty robust narrative that I hope you've had time to read. I wanted to provide you my background. A couple of years ago, you asked about how this could negatively impact student learning. I would argue that we are probably going to have to, as we sit today, the budget has eliminated timely care, which is a hard decision for us. But those dollars are almost directly what would have provided that to students. And so because we're not able to go up on fees, we are going to have no timely care, and let's face it, that has the capability of really affecting our students in a negative way. It could. We are under negotiation and may come back to you later in the year with timely care. We're looking at a different approach in which we look at how many cases have actually utilized the product and say, could we have a greatly reduced contract where we only have numbers, not that everyone would have the same equal approach, but you buy sort of bulk of that. We're looking at that right now. They came back with that, but we feel comfortable right now in eliminating. But included in the budget that we have not shared yet publicly, if we get to the final, though, is the addition of additional counselors right now, because my concern is with the elimination of timely care, the triage alone is going to increase. So if we do that, we are going to have to look at that counselor load. So right now, I did this. I put in 2 counselor positions in the budget that you've had tonight in case we're not able to triage with local services or do some of the things we need to do, because that does worry me, because we're still responsible for the initial. But again, that's not settled, that's not finished until we look at the budget at the final budget hearing in August. But we are asking that the board, due to gubernatorial mandate, approve a revocation of the previous approved tuition and fee structure and moving the tuition fees back to the 23 level for 25-26.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your right hand. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, the next item is item B, is a consideration of funding the OER faculty work from board reserves.
So we did not require our faculty who are off contract to come up and present this. Dr. King's not with us this evening, so you get me again. This is just what you had talked about when they presented before to you, I think in March. I think that was correct, Daryl or Sarah, somebody. I think March they came in. I don't remember, but they came in and presented the impact they were making. You've got evidence of that in this narrative. What they're asking for is an additional $50,000 funding model from board reserves. What I would say is this, they have about $25,000 left. Yes.
Financial statement says 30. Is that true, or?
That is true.
And they want an additional 50.
Yeah, they do.
Is that sufficient?
They believe it is, because they're doing serious expansion to the program. For example, some of the OER, I even heard today from Daryl. Daryl, you said OER is being expanded into welding for the whole program, where all of welding will become OER. But they are asking for that because they're doing great expansion to that. But they currently have 30,000 left in the original grant and are requesting 50. But that's that is their request, that they approve an expansion of that.
And then discussion? Okay, I'll make the motion.
I would like to just propose that maybe we give them another 20 or 25 and they spend that 50 and come back for more, just so we can update progress.
Or that they spend the 30 that's been allocated in the budget, and then,
Or get the fund back to 50.
Yep.
sure,
Yeah.
sure,
I think we keep the fund at 50, and as they need the,
sure,
I mean, that's what I would think would be fair.
sure. Sounds great.
So you'll have to vote down this one, yeah. But, I mean, that's fine. I don't think the faculty will have any problem with that. They'll just return to you when they spend it.
And it's in no way a disapproval of the work,
no.
because we love the work.
Yeah, the work's awesome.
Yes.
We want to hear from them more often. It's more what it is than anything. Yeah.
We sure will. No, I don't. They will not, they will not see that as a reflection of the work. I think they're just wanting to make sure they have access, and if you're as a board,
Come to
make
keep
the
it
motion
coming.
to do that.
Keep it coming.
We'll
We'll
keep
keep
the money coming if they'll keep the.
We just want to hear what they're doing. Sure.
That we need to put on the table.
I move that we keep the fund, or that we raise the fund to $50,000 again, and definitely open to giving more in the future.
Okay.
It would be, I would ask you to make, if you could mend it slightly, Mr. Grime, to adding 20,000 to what they have. 25,000 to what they have.
I move that we added $25,000
Cleaner.
to the current budget.
Perfect.
No,
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay,
And that would get them to the 50, Mr. Henderson told
Yeah.
us.
all right. So we have a motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Ryan made the motion, Sandy. Do we have a second? Second by Aaron. Okay, very good. Additional discussion at this time. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your right hand. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have to
Yes.
point out, because they worked so hard, that third page, that data metrics of students have saved $2.8 million in the last 7 years
That is
is
awesome.
huge. So they're not here, faculty, some maybe, but I think we give them a round of applause with your
really good.
permission, even though they're not.
Okay, very good. All right, the next item would be item C, the approval of the Business Administration Associates of Arts degree. Dr. Debbie Huffman. Hi.
This is her last act as dean before she retires. Picture. Debbie, before you start, on behalf of the college, we want to thank you so much for your years of service. You've been a dedicated employee. You've kept students first. You and I have worked a long time together, and thank you for all you've done for NCTC, both in e-learning and career and technical education. So, thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. We're asking for you to approve a Business of Administration Associate of Arts degree. And we've done, instruction was researching, trying to determine what degrees would best fit the needs of our students. And according to the research we came up with, our top two pathways in 25-26 were the AA Health Science pathway and the AA Accounting, Business, and Economics pathway. And so we decided to land on doing the business administration because we do already currently offer a lot in the health sciences. And we're going to follow the Texas Transfer Framework, which is a Texas Direct associate degree. And we have that in our teacher education right now. We implemented that several years ago. But the Texas Direct Transfer degree allows a student to transfer 60 hours straight into the bachelor's degree at the university. And they will take, I'm nervous here, so if they complete, they will complete the Texas core curriculum. That'll be the first part of it. Then the field of study curriculum at any two-year institution in the state, and then they will automatically qualify to receive the Texas Direct Transfer Associate degree. And they will just transfer the whole block. The field of study curricula includes 6 semester credit hours of designated core, and then there's 12 semester credit hours of discipline foundation courses, and then 6 to 8 semester credit hours of directed electives, which each university designates individually. And also there are 24 semester credit hours of various directed electives selected by 4 institutions. So we got together and put together a big spreadsheet of what all the universities in the state were using, and came up with the plan for our degree. So the proposed AA degree will require adding only 4 additional ACGM courses to our curriculum. We'll be adding business principles, BUSI 1301 business principles, BUSI 2301 business law, BUSI 2305 business statistics, and BUSI 1307 personal finance. And we will also change, in WECM courses, we have 3 courses in our business management degree that are very parallel to 3 of those courses. So our intro to business and our business law and our financial literacy, those courses will change in January to be the ACGM courses. So that the master's degree prepared faculty can teach both of those areas. Since the degree will consist of less than 50% new content, it doesn't require full coordinating board approval, and it doesn't require SACS approval. We just have to send a form in proposing it, and then it'll take 2 or 3 months for the assistant commissioner of the coordinating board to approve it.
Now,
Yes, yes. They will be able to. We'll start advertise. It's going to require marketing, but we will start advertising it, hoping to get a lot of students into it in the spring. And I had Brian and NIR pull some data for us, and we identified that 36 of our majors, 36 BUSA majors, they were in this pathway, graduated with just a general studies degree this year.
Perfect, perfect. Good
So
job.
those students could have graduated with the
Completers
business
instead of
administration degree.
floaters.
So we're hoping to get more students into a degree, because most of the students that choose this pathway are students that are planning to transfer to a university. And this way, it's going to help the students because they'll go in with what they need and be able to continue.
This week, we heard from coordinating board, or last week, sorry, the excitement about field of study. So I was really excited to see you all taking that approach, because there's a lot of funding and a lot of conversations around getting behind that again and getting it off the ground as a state. So that's exciting.
So do you have
Questions?
teachers already?
We do. All of our teachers in the business management program are master's certified or master's plus 18 hours.
Is it going to be face-to-face or online primarily?
That's a good question.
And what campus, is there going to be a campus that's identified as a target campus?
Becca, do we know yet on that? On the business? Yeah. Corinth, yeah. It's going to be mixed, at least to start with. It's currently in Corinth, but we are adding business programs on this campus too. So since these courses will be a part of the business management degree, also they will come up here too, on a rotation
Dr.
basis.
Wallace, I think volleyball, I think every volleyball player ought to be enrolled in this program immediately.
Yeah.
Throw softball in there too.
That's right.
Any
other questions?
This is very good work from a strategic standpoint, because what we're doing is allowing students to leave with what is a glorified meta major that enables them to go straight into the university and is fundable because it's not a general studies degree. So it's a very strategic plan from instruction that I appreciate, because these are important. And again, to your point, it's our second highest pathway. So.
Home run.
Yeah,
Great.
very good. Thank you very much. All right, so we need to.
What a way to go out.
We gotta have wait a minute.
Yeah, that's
Gotta
right.
approve this. Okay.
approve it.
So, we need a motion to approve the Business Management Associates of Arts degree.
I so moved.
Lisa, Dr. Bellows made the motion. Do we have a second? Erica Sullivan, second. Additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, the next item is the consideration of rescheduling the August board meeting to August the 24th of 2026. I can say that I had asked Dr. Wallace if we could do that, and I think it's kind of worked out probably best, because I know the budget, we're still doing a lot of tweaking, and that gives an extra week to get that done. I will be out of town, and I'd sure like to be here to finalize that budget. So,
Is that long, it's the 31st better?
That's totally up to the board. We're fine with the 31st if that's what you
That
like
gives
to do.
them even
don't
another
care.
week.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. That's up to you all.
is everybody
Need it or you don't need it?
an extra? Right. It's fine with me. Okay. So,
Okay.
we'll need to make a motion then.
I make the motion that we move the August Board of Regents meeting to August 31st.
Is it okay that it's on that day?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Fine.
5
The motion
p.m.,
5 p.m. start time.
followed by a regular board meeting at 6 p.m.,
To-
2026.
Will we have the
There's not a
budget?
special board meeting. It's just the meeting.
Whatever-
so fine.
whatever
Our
that
board
needs to
meeting.
be.
Okay.
The
So
date.
the motion to move the meeting to August the 31st at 5 p.m. Okay. Dr. Bells made the motion. Mr. Henderson made the second. Additional discussion.
Labor Day after
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right.
It'll be the 7th.
Consideration of setting the date for the Chancellor's annual evaluation.
You've got a calendar just
We
to
have a
sort of look
calendar
at in
here to
September.
look for September.
It's blank calendar to say.
Right.
So you had the dates.
Man, I better get my phone out. I'm traveling traveling in September, but
Could we get a copy of last year's results?
We could do that in with the, survey, that'd be a good idea.
Our plan right now, Dr. Bellows and others, is to do that survey once again through Qualtrics. So IR will be sending out a link, et cetera, but we can actually print you last year's results. And I have some,
Maybe just the outcomes more than anything, like, were you asked to do things and did you do them? Because I can't
yeah,
remember
there's,
what we
you'll
asked
have
you
a
to do.
cover letter that explains some of the things I did this year, but yes, we can get that, sure.
And the other thing is, I think, wanted to make a comment about this, that we want to make sure that we provide comments. Just by checking
Sure.
the number there is kind of hard sometimes. So if you, the comments are always helpful as we compile all that information together and have conversation.
Thanks for encouraging me to do that.
You're welcome.
oh, gosh. And by the way, Christy is kind of leading the charge on this particular, activity for this year. So,
Different meeting, or did we do it?
Yes.
We did.
You chose
Okay.
to have a different meeting
I
just
like
to
that.
focus on that, you did.
Did we have it in the morning?
Early morning.
Okay.
Friday morning.
Anybody have a preference?
I can just tell you when I can't be here, but it's not a whole lot of time. I'm just, wait a minute.
I would,
Is it, are we going to,
We're going to
We're
a
gonna be in
conference
Houston.
sometime.
It's in here.
Shouldn't
September
be the
17th, 18th, and 19th.
That's right. That's when I'm gone.
so I would,
Mark those out.
I would ask you to avoid September 11 if you could, because we have planned a major staff in-service day, and I try to be a part of that, but I can,
So the 17th is not good, or 18th,
Melinda
and the
did it.
11th is not good. Okay, got it. Outside of that,
Preference?
okay.
You don't know your schedule.
Oh,
do you?
no, that far out.
Yeah.
Board meeting is the 23rd.
First.
May 1st.
Oh, yeah, I see, here's her, sorry. I need to get new glasses.
I think the 29th's out for me.
29, okay.
About the 9th. Did you want it on, what day of the week do you want it? Does anybody got a
Doesn't matter
preference?
to me.
Erica, anybody got a preference?
You okay, everybody okay?
Probably either at the beginning or the end of the week. So normally
Oh, okay.
About the 21st?
sure. I was looking up.
Well, that's
That is our board meeting
Oh,
doing it.
oh, no, we don't do that.
14th?
The end of the week?
Either like 14.
Okay, no worries.
14 is good.
14's good.
No, John
Yeah.
can't.
Oh, John's out, okay.
25th or 4th?
He needs the end of the week.
Right, so the Friday the 4th?
Friday the 4th
or
or Friday the
25th?
25th?
Anybody? Let's do the 25th, since the
That's fine.
7th is a holiday, in case people are out.
Pathways visit, don't we, Sarah, on the 5th that
So,
I have to be involved in?
It
It's
looks
the
like we're
first of that,
coming
so-
down to the 25th of
25th.
September.
Sounds good to me.
That works.
25th, and do we,
And
is the morning okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
Better?
Oh, wait, Erica can't do morning,
Okay, so what kind can you do?
afternoon
Oh.
or evening.
That will be football for me.
September the 25th.
Yeah.
Can we do noon? Can you do noon?
1,
12:30?
That's 12:30.
12:30.
Sandy,
So
you can
September 25th, 12:30.
feed- You can feed them.
What time's football?
Oh.
Hopefully,
Oh, it won't be that
hopefully
early.
two.
No, it won't be.
And I stand corrected, I don't have football, I have band.
So,
You're right.
You got an obligation.
Gotta be there.
so because we are closed, we will post that we are open. The building will need to be
We're closed
remain
that
open.
day?
Yeah, we close at noon on Fridays.
What time,
You said 12:30. It's fine.
wait,
We've
this
done
is
it
the end of
before.
September, are we not back in?
Yeah, we,
They close
regular
at
hours
regular
close at
hours.
noon.
Okay.
Summer
Oh,
hours,
okay.
no
Okay.
Friday. It's fine. We'll just notify IT to not lock the doors. That's all it takes.
Okay, all right.
I mean,
And
we're
keep
fine.
the air conditioning on.
We can do that. We have the control in here. Jason's got it. He's
Got it,
already
you
got it in
got
his
it.
note.
All
There he
right.
is.
Okay, so I believe we have a date. So,
You need a
Where is
motion?
it? Yes, I do.
Okay. I'm gonna make the motion
Yeah.
that we, consider the chancellor's evaluation on September the 25th at 12:30 PM.
All right, we have a motion by Dr. Bellis. Do we have a second? Second. Second by Mr. Grime. Additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Raise your right hand. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. And I'm not aware of executive session.
No, there's no executive. I do have one quick thing to let you know. At your desk is a summary of explanatory notes for the TASB update. That's the easiest way to read it. If you desire the full update, we have copies, but not 7 copies, because we didn't think everyone wanted to read this. So you will take action on these in August.
Who has the copy?
They're right here if you want a full copy, Dr. Bellows.
There were
This is just the changes.
That's just the changes.
just a couple I had wanted to.
And you can ask about them when they adopt
Just look
them.
them
or-
up online.
You can, yes,
Okay, I
ma'am,
don't need to.
absolutely.
All right. All right, very good, thank you. We had no executive session this evening, so I would like to make a motion that we adjourn. May I have a second? Second, Mr. Grime. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you for your attendance. We always appreciate it.